What I'm hearing is incredible. Hello everybody, Silverpicker here, and today's video is one that I am beyond excited for because first off, I'm on vacation, and as you can see, I'll give you a little sneak peek. Let's climb up here and see if you can see where I am. Anybody who can guess where I am, put it in the comments. Let's see how good you are with geography. But in any case, I am in a beautiful, beautiful location, and I am visiting a friend of mine who happens to be a big-time cryptocurrency expert. And I say that literally. You can see him right over here behind me. His name is Gabriel Haines, and we're going to hear from him in a minute. But basically, as you can see from the title of this video, what am I doing? I got a brand new camera, which many of you already know about. I've talked about it in previous videos, and certainly my Patreon patrons know all about it because it was with their support that I was able to actually purchase this camera, so thank you very much. But what to do with my old camera? Well, my buddy over here, like I said, he is a cryptocurrency expert, and he has recently started his own YouTube channel. And he said to me, he goes, "Hey, what are you doing with your old camera?" I said, "Well, I'm probably going to sell it." He said, "I'll buy it, and how about I pay you in cryptocurrency?" Well, you know me. I like to try new things, and I'm into investment and personal finance. So I said, absolutely. We're going to have a little sit down, a little powwow with Gabriel and ask him a little bit about like what's the point of crypto? Because I know a lot of you watching have heard about it. You've seen it on the news, Bitcoin, Ethereum, what's going on. We're going to talk about basically what is the point and what is the case for cryptocurrency specifically relating to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you guys are going to learn a lot that can actually help you make some money in the short term and definitely in the long term. So let's sit down with my buddy over here and see what he has to say. All right, Gabriel, welcome to Silverpicker. Welcome to the show. Many of you OG watchers have actually seen Gabriel before because he interviewed me on a podcast he used to do, and some of you have seen that. I'm not going to link it below, but I'm going to see if any of you can remember where it is and post it in the comments, and I will definitely give you guys a like if that's the case. So this time it's my turn to welcome you to my show, and I'm really happy to have you here. But please introduce yourself to the audience at home, to the Silverpicker squad, and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me,
My
Silverpicker
pleasure.
over here. And yeah, thanks for having me on the show, viewers. I work primarily in cryptocurrency. My name is Gabriel. I have a YouTube channel. I create content similar to Max, maybe not on the Silverpicker level here, but on my just starting out. So I do a lot of tutorials, walkthroughs in the cryptocurrency space, and I spend a lot of time researching and discussing these things with all sorts of people. On my channel, I do interviews, I do tutorials, and I'm sure there'll be a link if you want to learn more about crypto.
There will be several links because I definitely want you guys to check out his content because he says he's a beginner. Maybe he's a beginner on YouTube, but he is not a beginner when it comes to providing good information. So I'm going to get you his YouTube, I'm going to get you his Twitter, I'm going to get you all of his stuff, and it'll be down in the description box below. Definitely worth checking out, but you guys will see for yourself in a second anyway. So let me show you what I have here.
Okay.
So Gabriel does need a better camera than what he's using right now. He's using just like a little webcam. So I have my old camera, which is still a perfectly serviceable machine. You guys have seen my videos, and most of you have been around since way before I've had my new fancy schmancy camera. But what we've got here is we've got the whole kit and caboodle, okay? We've got two different straps.
Wow.
Here, we've got a cleaning kit, another lens cleaning stick thing. This, legit, we've got the original user manual. It's a Rebel T5i or the EOS 700D. You can hold on to that. We've got some, what are these? Filters
Okay.
that I have never used and have no clue what they're for, really.
Thank
But
you.
you're going to get them nonetheless.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll save the best for last. This is a lens cover. Oh, we've got a telephoto lens and I believe a macro lens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, showing the people,
Great,
letting them
good.
know it's not just a bunch of marbles in here.
Okay.
We've got ourselves a charger.
Okay.
We've got ourselves a car charger and an extra battery in case you're making some crypto content on the go. That's right.
I don't leave my house, so.
Yeah, that's crypto people. That's what they do. And of course, the camera and lens. And she's a beaut. Got
Beautiful.
Flip out Majuga Juga. We've got the Schmickle Schmickle.
Does it
I'm
work?
a very, who knows? No, it does indeed work. It does indeed work.
I
I'm going
hope
to turn
so.
it on. And you can see we've got It says press the movie button to activate it. It's on movie mode. No card and camera. You think I'm going to give him a free SD card? Like, yeah, right. But, no, but I forgot it. All right? But anyway, we've got it. You can see it does indeed work.
Okay, good.
In any case, this is the camera. And yes, you can use it as a webcam as well, which I know is what your plans are. And because I'm at his house visiting, I forgot my mic. So we're actually using the mic that I will be giving him with this camera, and it is a Rode shotgun mic. So you will be getting that as well.
Thank you.
And now for the rest of the video, he has to hold on to all of this stuff while he talks to you, because that's part of the challenge, right?
You can balance it.
You have to balance it. Everyone knows that life is about balance. Crypto is part of life, so that's how we'll do it. In any case, this is the camera, and you said to me, you asked me if you could pay for it in crypto, and I said yes.
Yes.
But we didn't actually talk about what kind of crypto.
Yes.
So I am willing to put my financial life in your hands.
Yes.
Or at least one camera's worth of financial life in your hands. What kind of crypto are you going to be paying me with today?
I will be paying you with DAI.
With DAI?
Yes.
Interesting.
Which probably most of the viewers, unless they're pretty into crypto, they probably don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
I know that it is what is called a stable coin.
Yeah, correct.
Stable coin meaning it doesn't fluctuate like Bitcoin and Ethereum do. So it's not going to go up by hundreds of dollars or down by hundreds of dollars, right?
Well, it does fluctuate.
It does?
It's based on demand, right?
So I thought that it was pegged to the US dollar, no?
It is, but nonetheless, even the US dollar can fluctuate in price.
True.
But since there's so much liquidity for the US dollar, it's not often happening.
Okay. But in general, it's never going to be like Bitcoin, where if you bought Bitcoin 5 years ago for $25, it's now worth 50,000. It's not going to ever have that kind of fluctuation.
To be
right?
clear, it's like between 99 cents and $1.00.
Okay,
It's
so
not like huge.
So it's basically like paying me in dollars.
In dollars, correct.
So I'm sure the question that everyone is yelling at their screen right now, like I'm asking myself, is why not just pay me in dollars? What is the point? Why is this better?
Firstly, I think it's important to talk broadly about Bitcoin and the
Okay.
value that Bitcoin brings, and then we can talk about Ethereum, because
Okay.
it's hard to understand the value of Ethereum if you don't understand the value of Bitcoin.
Before we even go into Ethereum, before we go into Bitcoin, before we go into DAI, tell my viewers in like a couple sentences, what is cryptocurrency?
What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is money or assets that exist on a blockchain, and it's very easily transferable. There's no KYC in general, meaning that you don't have to sign up, give your personal information. So if you wanted to transfer somebody money using a cryptocurrency network, it's very simple to use. You don't have to put in your home address, unlike something like PayPal, where you may have to put in your phone number, your email, go through all that verification. Cryptocurrency is peer-to-peer, so there's no middleman, as opposed to something like a bank, like PayPal, as you described. And there's many implications for the value of cryptocurrency, but that's in general what it is.
So basically, cryptocurrency is a means of storing wealth and buying goods and services with a currency that is not printed on a physical piece of paper or backed up by a precious metal or something like that. And some of the main benefits are that it is fast, it's peer-to-peer, it's decentralized, and you can be completely anonymous when transacting with it.
Yes, I think it's not only for wealth, because you can do other things, including financial transactions. And there's many, many different types of things that you can do, but it's pertaining to money, mostly. But I actually believe that if you're watching this video in 2040, for example, we're going to have many different applications that don't exist today and may not have to do necessarily with money, identity and creator and ownership. But currently, most of it is, and where I spend most of my time is in decentralized finance, DeFi. It's kind of maybe a buzzword. It's definitely picking up some steam in the mainstream media. Mm-hmm. But so currently, the most of the use case is financial in nature.
Okay. Very cool. So now you guys know what crypto is. and I'll give you the floor again for telling us what is Bitcoin, and then going into whatever else you want to share with us. Because again, you want to take notes on this. You might want to watch this video 2 or 3 times. That's great for me as a creator, help me out on that algorithm. And while you're at it, you can like my video, right? Hit the like button, do all that YouTube stuff. But seriously, you definitely will want to watch this video several times. Take some notes, because this is really a really valuable opportunity that we have here today talking to Gabriel.
Okay, so what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin was started by Satoshi, who was an anonymous developer.
It was me.
It wasn't him.
It was me.
It was started in 2008 after the financial crisis. Started very small. He just started on his own mining Bitcoin. Mining is the act of kind of securing the Bitcoin network. And the idea behind Bitcoin is kind of what I just said about peer-to-peer. And Satoshi recognized that there was a big issue with fiat currency and government currency, especially in the wake of 2008, where we saw a government failure, institutional failure in the financial system. And I think that created a lot of disillusionment in many people across the world, including myself, even though I was quite young at the time. It created quite an impact on the world at large and how we view financial systems. So what is the point of Bitcoin? Like, why do we need this thing? First of all, I think that non-sovereign money is a big deal. So we have this idea of non-sovereign, so it's not controlled by a state, it's not controlled by a government, and that is quite valuable, because I think that most of us don't really think about what money is. And right now, all the money we have is, fiat currency for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of problems with that, because governments can print money at will, and there's basically no ramification for doing so. And we saw this at the beginning of 2020 with and continued with Joe Biden, actually, with a $3 trillion stimulus that was just announced maybe a week ago. And that's kind of how I started getting into the space, because at the beginning of the corona, they announced that they were going to do this continued printing, this stimulus. And I started to think, like, this is not a great thing. I mean, this money needs to come from somewhere. So when the government is sending you $1,000, this money is coming at a cost. And most people don't recognize that money is actually a tax on them. It's coming out of their bank account, because now there's going to be more dollars in circulating supply, so your dollars can buy less.
Inflation, in short. And by the way, my viewers, I'd say half of my viewers are coin collectors and half of my viewers are silver stackers, and there's definitely big crossover. Probably a lot of you were watching are saying, I'm both, like myself. But in any case, silver stackers, gold bugs, we get the issue with fiat currency. We get the issue with overprinting money and just sort of having this sort of like endless supply of cash going into the world, and understanding that, eventually, as they say, the buck stops somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you're into gold, then you'll understand kind of the fundamental ideas. And many people view gold as a hedge against inflation, because gold does not expand in supply very rapidly. It's about like 2% a year. And if you spend more money to mine gold, then it actually doesn't help your marginal production. So you can't actually just throw money at the problem and then you can make more gold. It doesn't work like that. That's why gold historically has been a store of value, is because for this exact trait, as opposed to something like copper, where if you do go ahead and start to mine it with more capital, then you can actually extract more copper from the earth. I'm not a metal guy, but
No, but it's funny that you bring that up, and we can talk more about copper, but I'll actually put a video up here in the card above about my thoughts on stacking copper as an investment. Most of you know, spoiler alert, I do not think you should be stacking any physical copper. I know a lot of you have come at me in the comments, but most of you understand. But if you want to see my views on stacking copper, they are right up here in this card.
So one of a great book that I listened to on Audible, not sponsored by Audible,
not yet. Audible, call me.
Is the book called The Bitcoin Standard. And the Bitcoin Standard is a very interesting historical look at money. And I think that when you start to educate yourself about Bitcoin, about cryptocurrency, you'll start to think more about what money is. And the Bitcoin Standard breaks down the history of money, and you start to recognize that people have not, the money that we have today is not how it's always been. People literally used to use stones to trade on, I forgot the name of the place, but there was a specific island.
Well, there's cowrie shells. There's all sorts of sort of natural proto coins out there.
Exactly. So, when we think of these dollar bills, like this is a new invention, relatively new since the beginning of the United States, maybe in Europe before that. But so Bitcoin aims to be a kind of a gold 2.0. So it has some properties of gold, but actually improves upon gold in many ways. So, like we said, it has the same property of gold where it has a scarce supply or a non-inflationary supply. So there's a set amount of Bitcoin, and it's 21 million Bitcoin. And at the end of, so every few minutes, there is a little bit of Bitcoin that is distributed to the miners of the network. I think it's about 6 Bitcoin right now. And there's this idea of halvening. I don't want to get into it, but basically the way that the network is secured is by distributing a tiny bit of Bitcoin. But at the end, at a certain point, it's going to be done. And it's going to be impossible to make more Bitcoin.
So you're saying, unlike US fiat currency and other fiat currencies around the world, when 21 million Bitcoins are produced, that is it. The game is over, not in terms of the value, but in terms of producing more. And then there can still be a fluctuation in the value of those coins, right? But effectively, there will be no more artificial inflating or deflating of the supply.
Yes, correct. So Bitcoin has this property of being a hedge against inflation because the supply cannot expand. Mm-hmm. So the value has to expand. Mm-hmm. So you will have to spend more dollars to buy Bitcoin as the supply of dollars goes up, as inflation goes up. Same as gold, right? It's the same idea. However, unlike gold, Bitcoin is very easy to transfer, right? So if you have a silver picker bullion that you want to send to one of your fans, it's quite difficult to do, actually. You'll probably have to pay a lot in fees, shipping, also customs. Mm-hmm. You can't just walk around with, $100,000 worth of gold. You will get stopped if you fly anywhere in the United States.
It's also very heavy.
It's hard to transport. It's very cumbersome, right? So Bitcoin exists only on the Bitcoin network, and there's no physical representation of Bitcoin, and it's very easy to transfer to anywhere in the world. So this is kind of another property that actually, in general, it solves a big problem, because forget gold. If you want to send $1,000 from where we are right now to someone in the United States or somewhere in Europe or Africa, doesn't matter. It's very difficult, and you will pay tremendous amount in fees.
Yeah, absolutely.
Using something like MoneyGram, it's probably like 10%.
It's extraordinarily expensive to send money basically anywhere instantly.
Yes. And that is a big problem. I mean, and if you start to think about it, it's like, why is that? Why is it so hard to send someone money? I mean, what does a border have to do with paying someone for goods and services, right? And as the world is continuing global, I mean, we know these big tech companies are employing people in India. All their sourcing were manufacturing in China. It's a global economy. You know? Why is it so difficult to transfer funds from nation to nation?
I have a business that I've talked about just briefly on my channel before. I have a car rental company. That's sort of one of my main businesses. But there are still some massive companies, I'm talking companies that every single one of you has heard of, that require me to send a paper check. A paper check to pay for some of my my operations in my business. So I have to pay a paper check. It takes several weeks between when it gets sent out, gets to the mail, goes through their whole processing system. And, that it hasn't caused serious problems in my business, but it is definitely a frustration. And the idea that I can get on a Zoom call with 10 people from 10 different countries in 10 different time zones in a second, but I can't pay for some services done on my vehicles electronically or easily or instantly is obscene. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And beyond that, banks are very bad at customer service, as you've told me in the last podcast.
Yes.
So we covered the idea of inflation. We covered the idea of peer-to-peer transfer. And, well, we didn't. I'll kind of put a cap on that, is that when you want to transfer money to me through Bank of America or Wells Fargo, you're actually going through a centralized source. So if the bank decides that you're a terrorist, you didn't pay your taxes, or whatever reason, actually, they can actually censor transactions, right? They can stop a transaction. And also, it's very expensive to send stuff, as we just discussed, because you have to go through these centralized parties. So Bitcoin allows you to do it peer-to-peer, which means the transaction fees are much lower, it's much faster, it's much easier. So the last thing that I wanted to cover was the idea of authenticity. So it's a big problem when you're a coin collector or a silver stacker, is when you're buying merchandise, you need to make sure it's real, right? And it's not easy to test things when you're buying something from across the country or, you know, even from a friend, even if it's right in front of you and you test it with your supplies. I mean, there are ways to get around these chemical tests. Like it is possible, right? And when someone sells you a brick of gold, it's very hard to tell, okay, is this real? Is this not? So there is some level of trust that you have to have when you're purchasing these products. So Bitcoin solves that problem by having Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network, which operates on a blockchain. And a blockchain actually allows you to make sure that every single Bitcoin that you receive is authentic. If you have a Bitcoin in your wallet, then you know it is real Bitcoin. You don't have to be worried about fake Bitcoin or anything like that. And there have been lots of issues where people are losing tons of money from buying fake merchandise. And having something that is 100% reliable and knowing that you have received it, it's real, you got paid for your service, you got your goods, you can move on, is extremely valuable.
And in terms of the blockchain and sort of how you can tell that it is authentic, and this is just a little bit of filler information for anybody watching at home that's not familiar with how the blockchain works, but this is a very basic version, because I bet a bunch of you are asking, like, well, what if somebody hacks it? What if somebody changes information on it? Well, the reason why the blockchain is so incredible, and that's why it's been in the news, and that's why even if you don't know what it is, you've heard the term blockchain, is essentially it is a chain of blocks, and it only goes in one direction. You can't go back and start editing things in previous blocks. So there is no hacking of old blocks in the blockchain. So if Gabriel sends me Bitcoin and they keep recording that in future blocks, nobody can go back and go into that block where our transaction is recorded and change it. It will be there forever. And that's why they sort of describe the blockchain as immutable. It can never be changed. It can't be hacked. And it is hosted on nodes all over the world, repeated millions and millions of times. So even if somehow someone were able to change a block on his local computer, I could still look at thousands of other computers around the world and prove that the coin that was sent to me was Gabriel's and now it's mine.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that's a good summary of Bitcoin, and I think we can move into Ethereum from here.
Now, before Gabriel gets more into the details of Ethereum, I want to point out that this video is not intended to discourage you from investing in gold or silver. Like, I'm not an extremist person. This is not an extremist channel. We're not wearing tinfoil hats here. The idea here is simply just to expose you to something new, a new way for you to expand your financial knowledge and to expand your portfolio, diversify your potential earnings, and dip your toes into the world of crypto in an easy way where you can learn a lot without getting scammed, without risking your shirt, and without doing any extreme moves. So at the end of this video, I'm going to put some resources down in the description box below that can help you get started on your crypto journey without risking too much, without doing it in a crazy way, without drinking from a fire hose, and just let you get started on your own terms. So the floor is yours. Let's hear about the case for Ethereum.
Fantastic. And listen, I will say that I am an extremist, so but I think that it's very critical to understand that I do invest a lot in crypto, but I'm extremely knowledgeable about crypto as well. So I think that it's really important that you don't just go ahead and start buying a whole bunch of crypto, because you can lose your money extremely easily. And it's a very, very tough industry. There's a lot of people that are out to get you. So you have to really know what you're doing.
It's not just like the stock market where you can make a bad bet and lose your money because you don't know what you're doing. There are people out there actively trying to scam new crypto people, meaning new entrants into the crypto world, out of their money. And you need to be really, really careful about that.
So if anyone asks you for crypto, if you're bought a crypto after this video, if you have crypto, and someone asks you about your crypto that you don't know, you get a weird message in the email, a phone call, just don't engage with it, because most likely it's not to your benefit. So let's jump to Ethereum.
Perfect.
Because I love Ethereum. I spend most of my time in Ethereum, and Ethereum is the most exciting place in crypto, in my opinion, because there's so much innovation happening there. There's so many different applications that you can use. But in general, what is Ethereum? And it's kind of hard to conceptualize what Ethereum is, but it is a new internet. It is a Web 3.0. And like I said earlier in the video, I think that 20 years from now, if you're watching this in 2040, you will see some applications that exist on Ethereum that are maybe social, maybe financial and social in some way, identity, many different things. But right now, Ethereum is the killer use case for Ethereum is DeFi, which is decentralized finance. So why do we need this? What is...
Well, let me pause you for a second, because I know that a lot of my viewers watching are already confused because they think Ethereum is a cryptocurrency. And I just want to point out that Ethereum is a network, just like the internet is a network. And the network of the internet is made up of different websites, different databases, etc. So Ethereum is also a network that's made up of a bunch of different applications. And what we know of as Ethereum or Ether is an example of a currency that is based on the network and is the initial currency or cryptocurrency that is based on the network and is traditionally used to pay for transaction fees when moving things around within the Ethereum network, but it is not the same thing as Ethereum. So I know it's a little heady, and I'm maybe not doing the best job of explaining it because I'm not the expert, but I just wanted to point that out so that people understand what we're talking about when we talk about Ethereum the network versus Ethereum the token.
So there's Ethereum the network, and then there's ETH or Ether, which is the asset.
See, not the expert.
So if someone says, Ethereum, if they know about crypto, they're talking about the network, which is what the silver picker just described here. And ETH is the thing that you see goes up in value or crashes or whatever. That's the asset. Has a monetary value. So Ethereum is this vast network that has all these different applications. So just like you have the internet today, you have applications like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We all can conceptualize all these different things, right? You have an account, you log in, and then you can tweet, you can share, etc., etc. So Web 3.0 is actually even more integrated in a sense because all of these applications, they actually talk to each other. So imagine you had only one account that can actually connect to Facebook, Instagram, and everything all at once. So that's one of the aspects of Web 3.0. It's like much more integrated and much more interoperable. Interoperable means that you can actually use these things, all these applications, in different ways. So imagine that you could build some sort of Twitter app within Facebook, right? It's kind of a different way to think about things. So this is kind of the innovation that Ethereum is actually promising. So let's wind it back. So we talked about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the asset, Bitcoin is this thing that has value, goes up, goes
it's
up.
Like gold.
It's like
It's
gold.
like gold. It's digital gold.
But that's pretty much it. The network is set. It's very hard to change things, very hard to build applications on top of the network, right? Now, when you have an asset, just like gold, silver, or real estate, stock, usually you want to be able to use that asset to earn more capital. You want to earn yield.
Yeah.
Right?
Like having renters in a vacant apartment that you own, or lend or borrowing money against your gold, something like that.
Exactly. Borrowing money against your gold is a perfect example. Because just having gold, right? You have, let's say, $10,000 worth of gold, right? It's just sitting there. It might go up in value, it might go down. But you actually can take some of that value out and use it to, pay your bills or do whatever you'd like. And in this way, you can actually hold more gold while, maximizing your capital. It's capital efficiency. So the Ethereum network allows you to do these financial transactions with your Bitcoin and other assets. And that is, right now, the big use case of Ethereum. So on Ethereum, you're able to lend, to borrow, to provide liquidity, which is a complicated concept, but it is very important. And you can do all these different financial things that actually you're not able to do these in the traditional world. And actually only very wealthy people can actually access these things. So let me give you an example. If you buy a stock on Robinhood, then you just buy the stock. That's it. You can't leverage a stock. You can't do any margin trading. You can't actually do margin trading, but a venture capital firm who buys equity in a company, they can actually take a loan against that stock, which you and I cannot do.
Yeah.
You need tremendous amounts of liquid, millions of dollars, in order to actually get a bank to take you seriously. And actually, the wealthiest people in the world, that's actually how they live. They actually live on lines of credit. So they have these massive assets that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they could take out some capital against those assets to pay their bills, buy a yacht, etc., etc. So just like these transactions that wealthy people are able to access, actually what Ethereum does, it brings it to the people so that anyone can actually access these leverage and all these unique financial products that were not available to you.
And you can do it all from your phone or computer.
Yes.
And that's something that I think a lot of my viewers, because I'm also trying to think of the things that, as a silver stacker and as more of a traditional investor myself, typically the questions that I would have, and I think a lot of you watching at home, when we were talking about borrowing against your gold, you were thinking to yourself, yeah, but I've got my gold in a safety deposit box, or I've got it in several locations. Some people have it in like bug out locations, or you have it in a safe, and you're thinking to yourself, how can I borrow against the gold if it's in my safe? Like, doing that practically is not very simple. And a lot of people don't want to put their gold in a custodialship, because a lot of people know that if you're not holding your gold or silver, you don't own it, in a sense. That's sort of a common thing within the stacker world. With this, you can do everything from your phone really easily. You don't have to literally transfer your physical gold into a place that could end up stealing it from you, or losing it, or even worse.
Yeah, so the Ethereum network allows you to store and utilize all different types of assets. So we talked about Bitcoin, right? You can use your Bitcoin in order to take a loan and many other things. Whereas on the Bitcoin network, it's just like having gold in your safe, right? You can't do anything with that. It's just sitting. But there's actually a lot of different things that you may want to do, right? Another example is if you want to pay your bills, but you don't have the liquidity right now, you don't want to sell your gold, right? You want to hold on to your gold if possible.
Yeah.
So you can actually take a loan out against your gold and pay it back later, right?
Yeah.
Which is much better.
This is like something that I know a lot of my viewers deal with on a regular basis, because I've had so many people reach out to me and say, hey, Silver Picker, I'd like to buy some silver from you. If you've got anything, I saw your last video, you got a bunch of silver dimes. I'm interested in them because I had to sell all of my silver because my truck broke down. I use it for work. Or my grandmother needed to help paying a medical bill. And I have a lot of really hardworking people out there that are really smart with their finances, but life happens. Sometimes you need to do something, and it breaks everybody's heart to have to sell their position, their silver or gold position. So what you're saying is that with Ethereum, you can sort of have your cake and eat it too. You can, of course, you have to pay the money back, but you can take a loan against it without having to actually give up the asset.
Exactly. And that's a very powerful thing. So you don't actually only have to use these crypto assets. You can use, as we discussed earlier, stable coins, which are just dollar tokens that are worth $1.
Yeah.
So how are they worth $1? So in the case of stable coins like USDC and USDT, and by the way, USDC is by Coinbase, regulated US company. It's going to IPO soon. So what Coinbase does is they actually have a bank, and in the bank they have dollars, and they said for each dollar we have in bank, we're going to issue a token called USDC, and that's USDC.
It's like a weird version of the gold standard, but for fiat currency. That is a bizarre thought, but it does make sense.
It's tokens that are backed by dollars. That is USDC.
Yeah.
So, well, you're thinking to yourself, well, why do I need dollars backed? What is the point of all this?
Fiatception.
Like, why do you need this? Well, for the reason that I described, similar in the Bitcoin situation, dollars are not very easy to use, especially internationally, and there's all sorts of different transactions that you would like to do with your dollars that you may not be able to do. So lending it out, right? If you want to lend out your dollars, it's actually not that easy. You need maybe to know someone. There's not a very simple process for you to do that.
Yeah, we're not talking about your uncle that lives on your couch, right? We all know that there's somebody that's willing to take your money if you lend it to them. We're talking about lending that will earn you interest.
Exactly. And if you have idle assets, if you have dollars in your bank account, and if you look at your bank statement, you'll see that your dollars are probably earning 0.05%. annually.
Yeah.
Which is close to nothing.
Yeah. Effectively nothing. At least for most ordinary people like us, unless you have billions of dollars, 0.05% is effectively nothing.
Yeah, effectively nothing. And that's a shame because it wasn't always like this. You know, years ago, 50 years ago, you would actually earn some sort of interest rate on your dollars.
I believe in the 80s, you could put money into a CD and earn like 10 or 12%. Compounded over 30 years.
Today, that's basically unheard of in the traditional financial world, right? So using Ethereum, you can very easily lend out your money to people, to borrowers who want to use that money in order to grow their business or, earn in crypto or do whatever they want, actually.
Yeah, and that means that there are real-world applications for crypto. So it's somebody wants to build a business in real life, right? They want to open up a restaurant, right? In the real world, they may fund that with crypto, and that sort of shows you that this is not just all sort of up here in the cloud. This is real-world applications, lending, borrowing, building businesses, and actually innovating and creating value in the real world.
Yeah, and anything actually can be tokenized and exist on Ethereum. So including wrapped gold, right? And wrapped silver.
I'm excited that you're bringing this up, because this is a very, very exciting piece of the puzzle that fits really well into our world.
So you can buy right now, you can go onto the Ethereum network, and you can very easily buy a representation of gold. Now, some people may not like that because it is custodial. You're obviously not getting shipped the gold, but it is backed verifiably one-to-one by the amount of gold that you or silver that you purchase, right? This also allows you to short gold, right? If you think that the price of gold is too high, or price of silver, then you can actually borrow the gold, sell it, right? And as the price goes down, you buy it back, and you keep the difference. That's the idea of shorting.
Yeah.
And you can take that not only to precious metals, but also to stocks, right? And the idea that you can buy a stock, Tesla, Apple, Google, high quality companies anywhere in the world with no verification is a very, very powerful idea.
Huge. And for most of my viewers who are US citizens, things like Robinhood and Webull have democratized the stock market, and it does make it very easy to trade. But there are a lot of people that live in the Philippines or India or wherever that want to trade on the US stock market, and it is actually really, really hard to do that efficiently or at all.
Yeah, especially if you're just an ordinary person. And it's very difficult for you. If you're earning in the local currency, you're going to be screwed because very often these smaller countries, their monetary policy is not very good. And we saw this in Zimbabwe. I know you did a video about the $1 trillion Zimbabwe bill. What happened there, right? They printed so much and the money got inflated. And the people that earned that money, they got screwed. They got left in the cold, right? So they need somewhere to park their assets, right? They can't just hold on to 100,000 Zimbabwe dollars because they know tomorrow it's going to be worth 50, and the day after that will be 20, etc., etc.
And even right now, I have some friends that are from Venezuela, and they tell me that when their parents earn money, they try their hardest to park it in US dollars or gold or silver, or whatever they have to do, because literally the money is worth less at the beginning of the month when they get paid than at the end.
Yeah. So being able to access these high quality assets is very, very important. And, you mentioned Robinhood as well, because, you may be thinking, well, I can just buy Tesla, But we saw with GameStop that actually Robinhood started to censor transactions, which is a very bad thing, right? Because at any given time, this can happen to anyone. In the stocks you're holding right now, they can be actually struck from your balance sheet. What's stopping them from doing that? If they can stop buying and selling, they can basically do anything they want, right?
Yeah. By the way, 6 months ago, this would have been tinfoil hat talk, saying that Robinhood's going to start manipulating things with your stocks and canceling your trades. But that's the reality. That happened. And by the way, I still am a fan of Robinhood. I do a lot of my own trading on Robinhood. But this is a alarm bell for us all to just realize that things are not always as they seem, and things that seem stable are not always as as clear cut as they are made to appear to be.
Yeah. So Ethereum is many things, and there's this whole idea of NFTs, and I mentioned many times that there's going to be more social implications, but I think that's a good summary of what the killer use case of Ethereum right now is, which is DeFi, decentralized finance. And that's kind of a basic overview of the offering that you can, access there.
So if I can summarize, and again, you guys can tell that I do know a little bit about crypto, so I'm not a total neonate, but I am still just at the beginning of my journey. So I think anybody watching here in short order could basically know as much as I do about it, and then together, hopefully on my channel, I'll be able to bring Gabriel back more and go more into depth in different avenues of the world of crypto. I definitely, as a collector, you've seen my video on Magic the Gathering cards. Obviously, this channel is, at least 50% about collecting coins. So we're collectors, so NFTs, which are basically digital crypto collectibles, for those of you who don't know, is something that's really interesting to me, and I want to do I want to do some videos about that, share that with my audience. So those are some of the things, but basically, just to sum up what we've talked about, is it accurate to say that the case for Bitcoin is that it is essentially digital gold that allows you to do all the great things that you do with gold in terms of hedging your wealth against inflation, storing your wealth for long periods of time, and basically protecting your earnings, but doing it in a way that is more physically secure, meaning you're not worried about people physically stealing it, you're not worried about it being locked in a safety deposit box to be lost forever, and also you can transfer it very, very easily to anyone in the world very quickly and for fairly low transaction fees. That's the case for Bitcoin. And the case for Ethereum, it seems, is that there's this big network effect of all these different things that you can do to earn more money, to develop your base of assets, and do that in a way that is also secure, that is also very quick, and has no borders of countries, can be anonymous if you want it to be, and is very inexpensive. So if I have money that's sort of sitting idly, I can put that into the Ethereum network, whether it's through stable coins like USDC or DAI, what you're going to be paying me with for my camera. Oh yeah, this whole video was about me selling my camera, and all of a sudden we're talking about all sorts of other stuff. But in any case, you can use that, or through ETH, like the sort of the eponymously named token, and you can leverage that currency to take loans, to invest and earn interest, or to do a myriad of other really cool things that we've only just gotten to the tip of the iceberg on.
I want to give you one last really cool, very specific thing that you can do with Ethereum that maybe may sharpen it a little bit.
Okay.
Because right now, Ethereum is many things, and it will continue to be many things, but one of the core things is this idea of programmable money, smart dollars, right? So right now, all the money in our bank accounts, they're dumb. They don't do anything. They can't make decisions, right? Now, you may be thinking, dollars making decisions? Well, on Ethereum, everything is run on code. They can make decisions. You can make certain parameters for your dollars to follow. So, let me give you a real life example that would be really cool, and you can do on Ethereum today, and would be amazing in real life. If you have money in your bank and you're earning a certain rate, we said 0.05% in your Wells Fargo account. Now, all of a sudden, you're driving along and you see Chase has a big sign that says, we will offer you 5% on your money for the next 6 months for new customers. And you're thinking to yourself, well, that's 100 times what I'm earning now. Let me get in on that deal, right? How would you do that? You would go to your Wells Fargo account, you would withdraw the money, fill out a bunch of paperwork. That would take several days, at least.
I can tell you it would not be worth it for me. Like I'm not transferring all of my entire bank account to another bank to earn an extra couple % on my money.
Absolutely. I mean, if you had a substantial amount, it might be worth it. But for most people, it's a really big hassle, right? Once you close your account, then you go to Chase, then you have to wait on hold, and then you have to fill out more paperwork.
You all know this experience dealing with local banks or local branches of big chains.
Yeah. So your capital is very inefficient because it can't get the best rate. So using programmable money, smart money, your dollars can actually on themselves look for the best rate from bank to bank and move on their own without you having to lift a finger.
So you're saying that I could, and let me just see if I get this straight, because this sounds what I'm hearing is incredible. What you're saying is that theoretically, if I had some of my money on the Ethereum network, I could program that money to basically seek out all the different banks in the world, what the best rate is at that moment, transfer itself to that bank and then continue doing that process, always seeking out the best rate.
Yes, absolutely.
That is game changing. Why doesn't everybody do that?
Good question. But yes, you can do that. And so there is an application called Yearn, and they have an Earn protocol, and it does exactly what it does describe. So it goes to the most trusted banks that exist on Ethereum, Aave, Compound, DYDX, and it looks at the rate for the day. Could be 1%, 2%, up to 5%, and it will say, okay, the money is best allocated at this place, and it will move automatically. So every day, you're going to get the best rate on your money without having to do anything.
Okay, my mind has been blown. I'm sure some of your minds have been blown as well, and if not, your heads are certainly spinning from all this information. Gabriel is a font of knowledge. It is so awesome having you on the show and listening to you talk about all the crypto. I see your passion, I see your knowledge, and I'm sure all of my viewers are really, really enjoying it. Now, in terms of what we all came here about, right? We were talking about selling my old camera for cryptocurrency. Now, the video has already gotten really long, and I really, really, really want to encourage you guys to check out Gabriel's channel. So while we were filming, I came up with the idea that we are going to do the actual transaction on his channel, which means you guys are going to get a peek behind the curtain to see what it actually looks like to do a transaction via cryptocurrency. So if you're really interested in really learning about how this all works, click on the link below, check out the rest of this video on Gabriel's channel, and see the actual transaction take place. I'm going to give him the camera in real life, and I'm going to get cryptocurrency in exchange. Now, if you guys are convinced and you want to dip your toes into cryptocurrency, I have some links below, and the best way to start is simply with Coinbase. You go on Coinbase, set yourself up an account. The fees are low. It is totally safe and secure. It is a real, legit company. Like Gabriel said, they are going to be going public on the US stock exchange within the next few months. So it's a legit thing. You're not going to have to worry too much, and it's really user-friendly. Plus, you get $10 and I get $10 worth of Bitcoin when you sign up. So check out the link below, head over to Gabriel's channel, and watch me sell my old camera for crypto. Gabriel, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Silver Picker.
All right, so I got a lot more stuff coming down the pike. If you want to see more crypto content, please let me know in the comments below, because I am going to give the people what they want. So if you want to see more, you want to learn more about crypto or about how crypto and precious metals can interact together in harmony, let me know in the comments below. I've got a lot more awesome stuff coming down the pike. So stay tuned, and until then, Silver Picker out. A huge, huge thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. You guys are amazing. I literally could not have done this video without you, and I am so proud to have you guys as part of the Silver Picker squad. If you're interested in becoming a patron, the links are below, and we would love to have you. I'll see you in the Discord.